Last episode, I talked about making behavior contagious at the individual and team level. Today, I want to talk about contagious behavior at the societal level and how the techniques for achieving it can help to create contagious behavior for your organization. In the 1980s, a Harvard public health professor named J. Winston was studying a Scandinavian concept called a designated driver. In the United States at the time, this concept didn't exist. So Winston and his team took on the challenge of bringing the idea to the US. Winston believed that you could make behavior contagious by repeatedly exposing people to it in many different contexts. He believed that it didn't even matter whether the context was real or fictional. So Winston worked with the producers and writers of primetime television shows. They inserted mentions of designated drivers into the plots of more than 160 primetime shows, including Hunter, The Cosby Show, Mr. Belvedere, and Who's the Boss. Winston only requested 5 seconds of dialogue featuring the designated driver idea. Just like Cashon from the last episode, Winston used multiple aspects of the switch framework to achieve his goal. He shaped the path to change the public's behavior, but directed the rider and motivated the elephant to change the TV network executive's behavior. Requesting only 5 seconds of dialogue directs the rider because it is a simple, clearly described action. And it motivates the elephant because it shrinks the change. And the result? 3 years after the campaign launched, 90% of Americans were now familiar with the term designated driver. But more importantly, their behavior had changed as well. 37% had now acted as one, and 54% of frequent drinkers had been driven home by one. And most importantly of all, alcohol-related fatalities had dropped from around 24,000 in 1988 to around 18,000 in 1992. So how does this apply to a software development organization? Think of some of the ideas you wish more teams at your organization understood. Maybe it is the idea that daily stand-ups are not status reports and shouldn't last an hour. How do you repeatedly expose the people of an organization to this idea? My suggestion is that those who facilitate such stand-ups, namely the scrum masters in those organizations that have them, are the ones who most need this exposure. When can they get it, though? This is when a community of practice can be valuable. A community of practice for scrum masters, or more generally, for agile practitioners, provides a forum for both discussing these ideas and possibly demonstrating them. Demonstrating the skills to run an effective community of practice meeting month after month will repeatedly expose the scrum masters to better facilitation techniques. For example, you might choose to run your community of practice meetings using the lean coffee style of meeting. The conversations in these meetings are time-boxed and very focused. Exposure to such meetings can inspire and educate your scrum masters to bring the same level of focus to their team's stand-ups. You may also want to get specific and devote one or more of these meetings to the different styles of stand-up and demonstrate the benefits of, say, walk the board stand-ups for getting people to stop thinking in terms of status reports and start thinking in terms of how they can get the board to a desired state. Maybe it would be worthwhile to devote a meeting to the 3 questions, the limitations of structuring a meeting around them, and why it might be better to replace them with something else. Maybe a community of practice meeting could be used to role play a stand-up and demonstrate ways of refocusing the team on the real goals of the meeting and cutting out status reporting by having people give yes/no answers to questions like, is the story done? Is the story blocked? And then if necessary, asking, what can we do as a team to get it unblocked? The main idea is that exposing the people of the organization to these ideas once is not enough. It took the insertion of the designated driver concept into 160 primetime shows to make sure it caught on. Don't expect one exposure to a well-run stand-up to suddenly transform all your company's Scrum Masters into master facilitators. Also, think about mixing up the context. Maybe one-on-ones between Scrum Masters and an Agile coach, if your organization has them, can be an opportunity to reinforce the concept. So we've come to the end of our journey through the book Switch, How to Change Things When Change is Hard by Chip and Dan Heath. In the next episode, we'll take a look back and see how far we've come. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can subscribe for free. On LinkedIn, click the follow button next to my name. On IGTV, you can just click the person icon with the plus next to it.